is your AS level or your A levels?
Uh, AS, year 12 exams.
All right. And so we are now going to be studying theme 1 and theme 2, right, for our January exam.
Yes.
All right, perfect. So with sir, you have already done PPC, you've looked at the opportunity cost, you've looked at different types of efficiencies. You've also slightly covered market failure, right?
Yes.
And can you briefly tell me about what is the basic economic problem? What is the
It's
opportunity cost?
yeah. Okay, so the economic problem is people have too many wants, but there aren't enough resources.
Okay, that is correct.
Should I say what opportunity cost is?
Yeah.
Opportunity cost is like the next best alternative.
Can you give me an example?
Like, for example, if the government wants to, like, if the government has the choice to either build roads or schools, and they choose to build new schools, then the roads are going to be the next best alternative.
Exactly. And what is the link between opportunity cost and PPC?
Opportunity cost and PPC. Um, like the production possibility curve.
Yes.
Um, not completely sure.
All right. So do you have a notebook with you? Make a PPC, write two goods on one good on y-axis, one good on x-axis, and then try to understand that what is um the link between the two. Take different quantities of both, try increasing the quantity of one and see what happens to the quantity of the other good, and take 5 minutes and tell
All
me
right,
that.
miss. I remember doing that.
Yeah. So you
I
maybe you
remember.
can take 2 minutes to recall what you remember, and then you can tell me what it is.
All right, sure, miss. Is it like when the cost increases? No, when the cost increases, the output decreases, and then when the output increases, the decreases.
Yeah, that is one thing, but that is not linked to PPC.
Okay, I'll do what I remember.
Yeah, all right.
Miss.
Yes.
So it's basically like uh, I'm not sure I can hear my echo.
Just tell me whatever it's coming to your mind.
All right, so I think when like for example, let's say we can only like produce 10 apples,
Mhm.
I mean 10 either apples or oranges. Like 10 products that we can produce. And like if we produce 10 apples, then we can produce only 0 oranges. But if we like do 7 apples, then we can produce 3 oranges.
Yes. So if I produce 7 apples, I can produce 3 oranges, right?
Yeah. Miss, can you hear the echo?
Yeah, I can hear the echo.
Oh,
I think you have kind of joined from two places, and then the mic is open on both of them.
Miss?
Yes.
Oh, you can hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Better? Okay, that's good.
Yes. So, like you said, we can make if we use full of our resources, we can make 10 apples and 0 oranges, right? But
Yeah.
we are making we are making 7 apples and 3 oranges, right?
Yes.
Now, yes. What else do you remember, or can you think of?
Um, I'm gonna look back at the table. I'm not sure if we put it on here.
It's already on the screen. The relationship of PPC and opportunity cost is already on the screen. So you just have to tell from here. What do you understand?
So I think like the more like the more apples we produce, the less oranges we can have.
Exactly, and that is an opportunity cost, no, of producing apples that have to give up oranges.
Yes.
So PPC is basically a depiction of your opportunity cost. Opportunity cost. See, whenever you are increasing the production of one good, you have to let go of the other good, right?
Yes.
And that is what you told me the definition for opportunity cost was. The next best alternative for gone, right?
Yes.
Yes. And so now is this clear to you?
Yes, miss.
Do you want to
I'm
write
just
it down?
writing some notes. Yeah, I'm writing notes down.
Okay.
In order to produce more oranges. Okay, I wrote it down, miss.
All right, great. Now, can you tell me what is allocative and what is productive efficiency?
Yes. So, productive efficiency is okay, miss, I'll start with allocative efficiency. It's allocative, there's two types of efficiency. One is allocative and one is productive. Allocative are when goods are demanded by consumers
Mhm.
and they should have maximum profitability.
Good, must have demand. Um, so tell me what you understand from this, because this is something that you've written in your notes as well. But I want to
Yeah,
hear,
I'm reading it.
yeah. So I
Okay.
want to
Good.
hear what you've understood from this.
Okay, miss. So, if consumers don't like they they aren't demanding this product, then there is no use. So the product should be demanded by consumers. Like
Mhm.
consumers should be willing to buy those products.
Yes. And how is that going to lead to um your allocative efficiency?
What do you mean, miss?
Yeah, so you've told me the half definition of what allocative efficiency is, like that
Yeah,
the consumers are going to demand the goods. But what is the other part of allocative efficiency?
that they should have maximum profitability.
And who should have maximum profitability, consumers or producers?
Producers.
Yes, so that is correct. And what about your productive efficiency?
So productive efficiency is when you produce like at lowest cost, but
Hmm.
you produce at lowest cost, but you use like maximum resources so that like the product is still good quality, but the consumers would want to buy the product since it's good quality, but even though it's good quality, you're trying to save money by lowering the costs
Yes, so
of
that is
the
also correct.
production.
Yes. Can you think of an example for productive efficiency?
So like a firm example.
Yeah.
Okay, so for example, uh, let's say um, I try to, let's say this firm sells case covers,
Okay.
cases, and so um, they try to do it like they try to minimize the costs of the production,
Hmm.
but like it's, for example, let's say this case is very strong, and once the phone falls, it doesn't break the phone, or it doesn't break the camera on the phone. But
Okay.
the production cost is really low for that. But the quality is really good. This attracts customers.
Yes. So, yes, you're on the right track. So you understand what productive efficiency is. Productive efficiency is basically utilizing all of your raw material and you produce goods and services at the minimum cost. So imagine, just like you said, that there's a company that makes phone cases, right?
Yeah,
So now imagine that company is you. So you have the raw material to produce 100 phone cases, right?
yeah,
So you are going to use all of that raw material to make the 100 cases, but you would try to do that at a minimum cost. How are you going to do that? Maybe you're going to consume less electricity. Maybe you'll bring more automation in your like production so that there are less employees that are being hired. So you use all of your raw material at the same time you produce goods that are at the minimum cost. Is this making
yeah.
sense?
Yes, miss.
All right. So since we have revised what you've already done, let's move on to something new. So did you study about specialization and division of labor?
No, miss. I
All right.
know what
And
division of labor is.
all right. And what is division of labor?
Is it like uh, dividing the workload amongst employees depending on what they specialize in?
Exactly. So that is division of labor. Um, and specialization is basically is simply that there are two people. So you and I are working in a firm. You were specialized in maybe accounting, right? So you like to maintain the books of the company, and I am specialized in public relations. So our manager sees our potential, and then they say that Haura is going to work in the finance department of the company, and Ishil is going to work in the public relations, right?
Yes.
So that is what specialization and division of labor is. Is this making
Okay.
sense to you?
Yes, miss.
All right. And it is like through this specialization and it is through this division of labor that we have different sectors in the economy. We have a primary sector, we have a secondary sector, and we have a tertiary sector. We have these sectors because we know that people who are in the primary sector are specialized in maybe growing different sorts of raw materials. So maybe some people are specialized at growing wheat, some people are specialized at growing cotton, some people are specialized at growing different types of vegetables. So all of those things, since they're specialized in that particular area, we call that the primary sector. Is this making
Yes,
sense?
that makes sense. Yes, miss.
Then comes the secondary sector. Now secondary sector is the manufacturing sector.
All
We
right,
have,
miss.
yes.
Just wanted to ask, what topic is this under?
This is under markets and market failure.
Okay. Because I'll just want to take notes of the things you said on the document.
Yeah, yeah. So this is your first theme. This is under your first theme.
Yeah. So markets and markets failure, right?
Yeah.
Should I write what division of labor and specialization is? In
Yeah.
it is. Or- okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
So this is what I wrote. Correct.
Let me see. All right. Rating is when employed at various costs, depending on what is specialized. Yes.
And then specialization is basically the same except like uh
Yeah, it's like having expertise in
yeah.
one thing.
Okay. And then the primary sector. Miss, can you say the sentence you said again, please?
The primary sector one.
Yeah.
So you can just write that they are sort of specialized in providing raw material.
Okay, yeah. And the secondary sector. Miss,
Secondary sector is
yeah, I
the
can.
manufacturing. Sorry, yes, go on.
No, it's okay, miss. I was just saying that I cut you off when you were explaining secondary sector.
Oh,
Okay, I'm done. Miss,
yes,
I'm
you've
done.
written it down.
Yeah.
All right. So now then the last sector is your tertiary sector.
Tertiary. Yeah.
That is basically your service sector. So it includes like your transport, your education, your health. All of these things are in your tertiary sector.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, so these are like the three broader categories where we can place every business that is in the economy, right? So any business you think of, you can place them in either of these three sectors. Can you think of any, like, can you give me an example of each one of these sectors?
Yeah. So, um, secondary sector is, we can say, like car manufacturing, or car retail, like a garage.
Hmm.
Is that
That
correct?
is your
Secondary sector.
secondary. So you're saying car
But
retail.
no, but car, it's also tertiary, right? Because it's a service. So I would say car
Exactly.
manufacturing is secondary,
Yes.
and then tertiary is, for example, like car retailing, or like
Yes.
a hairdresser, or
Perfect. And what about the primary sector?
the primary sector, I would say like factory.
Factory. True.
But the
No. So factory is not your primary sector. Rather, factory is something where you manufacture stuff, where you make stuff, right?
yeah.
So in
So
that case, um, manufacturing or factory is your secondary sector.
okay. Okay, then maybe we can, like, maybe uh I know what it means, but it's like I don't know an example of it.
We go ahead with the car example that we have been using. We can say that the supply here of metal or the rubber that is used to make tires is basically your primary sector. So wherever you're getting your raw materials from is basically your primary sector.
So if like they ask for a primary sector example, we can just say like supply of tire or supply of metal.
Not tire, supply of rubber.
Okay, I'm done. Miss.
Now that we have done these three kinds of sectors, let's move on to two other sectors. So these are like the broader categories, but then we have our public sector and we have our private sector. So public sector is basically a state or government sector of the economy. Can you think of anything that is state owned, that is like in the government sector?
I would say like maybe Ministry of Education.
Yes, exactly. All those ministries and even your public parks or your public schools, public hospitals, all of these are under the government sector.
Yeah. Yes.
Then now moving on to the private sector. Private sector is private owned, like individual people, you and me can go open up a business, and that is going to be the private sector.
Yeah.
So there are many schools that are not government owned, rather they are owned by other parties. So that is like, so let's take an example of superstores. Superstores are usually owned by private individuals and hence they come in the private sector. On the other hand, if we look at utility stores are owned by the government because they provide you grocery on a very minimum rate to all people.
Mm-hmm.
That is
So
government owned.
also we can say like private schools, right?
Yeah, we can say about private schools.
Yeah.
Now, can you think of any two examples where you can tell me what is uh private sector? So, can you give me two examples of a private sector business or anything, charity, anything?
Like there is one shop called Thrift for Goods.
Hmm. That is
It's
a
a private
private
sector.
sector. Yes.
Yeah. And like shops like Zara and H&M and like private hospitals, for example, like Medcare in Dubai, it's private sector because
Yes.
it's owned by individuals, not like the government.
Exactly. So that is correct. Now, is this all making sense to you? Did you make notes of these?
Yes, yes, miss.
All right, can we go ahead?
Yes.
All right. So, what do you know about markets? What are markets?
Um, Markets, it's like a place where buyers and sellers can uh, buy and sell goods and services.
Exactly. So, when you're defining markets, you can say it is like a convenient arrangement
Yeah.
by which buyers and sellers communicate to exchange goods and services.
Yeah.
Hmm. All right. There's another thing called submarkets. This is basically a term that is used to describe a smaller market in a large market.
A smaller market and a large market.
Yeah. So an example of this could be, mm, yeah. So there are different type of oils, right? There is petrol, there is diesel, there is natural gas, all of these things, right?
Yeah.
So that's a large market. But when I'm looking at specifically the petrol market, I would say that it is a sub-market because I'm just focusing on a smaller market out of that large market. Is this making sense?
A bit.
All right, so let me give you another example. So if we look at the clothing industry, right?
Yeah.
So in clothing industry, would we would have, so imagine this is your industry. You have clothes, then you have shoes, you have scarves, right? You have different sort of, you have gloves, all sort
Yeah.
of these things, right? So I
Yeah.
would consider this to be a large market. All right. But now I want to buy a shirt, right? So I am just looking at this part of the large market, only this part. This is going to be the submarket. So I'm just looking at one thing from a larger market. In a larger market, I'm just looking at one thing, and that one thing is my submarket.
Makes sense. So for example, miss, if I use uh like an example of food market, let's say like those market they sell
Mhm.
pizza, they sell like pasta and like all sorts of dishes. But if I focus on like for example like the pizza part, then this is the sub market because I'm focusing on one part of the market.
Exactly. That is what it is.
Okay, that makes sense.
Great.
Okay.
All right. Now let's all right. So how would I take 5 minutes and just write like a very brief summary on this document, write a very brief summary of what we have done so far in the class.
All right.
Because after this, we're going to start with something new. So I don't want you to confuse this with that. So write a summary so that I know you're clear on this.
Okay. Miss, I'm done.
Um, so now all of this is clear to you. Like while rewriting it, is there anything that is still confusing to you that we should go over again?
No, miss.
All right, great. Now we are going to look at the financial sort of um, parts of economics. So we are going to talk about money and we're going to talk about exchange that happens. So whenever we are talking about economy or whenever we're talking about markets, we know that there's some sort of exchange happening, right?
Yes,
So
miss. And
either
miss,
this it yes.
sorry, is this also under markets and market failure?
Yeah, so for the next like couple of classes, maybe 4 or 5, we're gonna do markets and market failure. That's your theme.
Okay.
Yeah, that is your like the first theme of your uh economics course.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's also economic efficiency is also under market and market failure?
Yes.
Okay, miss. Okay.
Um, yes. So I was saying that so if I go back in history, I'll see that do you know the concept of barter trade?
No.
All right. So before there was money, money came very recently. So before there was money, people used to trade things for things. So imagine that we are living maybe 7 or 800 years ago, and you like producing. So you have hens, you have chickens, and I have, let's say, I have meat or I have milk. So I go to the market and I'm finding somebody who would trade my milk for some eggs. And then I bump into you and I say that I'll give you 2 bottles of milk and you can give me 2 or 3 eggs, right? So
Yeah.
that is what was happening when there was no money. People used to find people who wanted to exchange similar goods and then they used to do that. This was the time when usually people used to produce certain services that they would use themselves, right? They would
Yeah.
sort of specialize in one thing. And when the concept of specialization came, so specialized, do you know about Adam Smith?
Yes. No, miss.
All right, so he's one of the economists who has given us like the foundation of economics. So he basically realized that there is specialization and there is division of labor, right? So
Mm-hmm.
after that, they started to develop something that wouldn't require me to find somebody who would take my milk and give me eggs. Rather, I would give them money and they'll give me the eggs, right? So then
Mm-hmm.
the concept of money came. Now, basically, specialization was the reason that money was developed. The entire, sort of reason to tell you this entire history was to tell you that first specialization was discovered, that there is specialization, and then money came. All right.
Yes, that makes sense.
Right. So, it is basically money is called money, or like the notes we have are called money because they have 4 functions. The first one is called a medium of exchange. The second one is called,
Miss, I have to take that down.
yeah, take it down. I'm writing it down, that's why so that you can sort of put it down.
Okay. So those are the four.
Functions of money.
Okay. Miss, what's the title for this?
Yeah, so just write money and exchange for the title.
Okay. Four factors of money.
Hmm. The first one is a medium of exchange.
Yeah.
The second one is a measure of value.
Yeah.
And the third one is means of deferred payment.
Means of deferred payment.
Yeah. So there are just three that your book discusses. So we'll also keep them three. We
Miss,
wouldn't
we've
discuss.
never done that last year.
Sorry?
We've never done that last year.
I see. You didn't do that last year? That's strange because this
Yeah.
is part of your course. Oops, something happened. Yeah, that's fine. Now, since you've written them down, I'll like tell you what these are. So a medium of exchange means that you can buy anything from this, right? So if you wish to buy a camera, you can go to the shop, give them money, and buy a camera, right?
Yeah.
So you give them money and you get anything you want. That is an exchange.
Okay,
So this
so
has made life easier. Why? Because previously, if I wanted to buy a camera and you had a camera, so I had maybe a television and you had a camera. I wanted to buy a camera, but you didn't want to buy a television, right? So I had to find another person who would have a camera and who would want to buy my television in order for us to exchange. But now, since it's money, it's like a common medium and anybody can use it to buy anything. I would just go to you. I'll say that this is maybe 8,000 and you can give me your camera, and then you'll just take the 8,000 and you'll give me the camera. Is this making
y-
sense?
yes, that makes sense. So I can write like buying anything with money.
Yes. So you can write it's like a common exchange medium.
Sorry?
Like you can write that money is used to buy and sell goods and services.
Yes. Okay.
Then the next function is a measure of value. So by measure of value, it means that um wait, let me think. Yeah. So basically it means that you can put a value on something. So when there was no money, I couldn't tell how much the camera costs, right? I just
Yeah.
wanted to find somebody who
Right.
wanted to exchange my thing for a camera, but I couldn't put a value on like how much a camera would cost, how many televisions would I have to give up in order to get one camera. I didn't know about that. But now, since we have money, I could
We know the
actually
value of
tell.
that item.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me, Miss?
Yeah, now it's better.
Oh, I said now that there is money, we know the actual value of the item.
Exactly. That is something that came with money and didn't exist before that. So
Yeah.
maybe you can write that money acts as a unit of account. It helps us to put value or determine the cost of a product.
Okay.
And then the last one is, are you finished writing it down?
Yes.
Did you finish?
Yes.
Okay. So the last one is a method of deferred payment. So that is basically that so imagine, so it's basically a loan that you're getting from a bank. So previously you couldn't do that. So since the value of the good is not determined, um since the value of the goods is not determined, you can basically no, this, let me find an easier way to explain this. Okay. So imagine that today you want to buy a house, but you don't have enough money, right?
Yeah.
So you can go to the bank and you can ask them to lend you the money right now so that you can buy a house and then you repay them later in the day.
So is it like how would we write that? Oh,
So,
is it like okay, I get it. I get what you mean. But is
okay, yeah,
does
can you
it
tell me what I meant? Like, what do you understand from this?
okay, so like for example, but Miss, does it have to be like from the bank?
No, no, just whatever you've
No.
understood, just tell me that.
Oh, okay. So for example, I go to the shop and I want to get like let's say a phone and
Hmm.
I see how like I don't know how much it's worth, so I don't have that amount with me. So when I know how what's the value of this item, um I tell them that I'm gonna take the item and then give them the money or
Yes, exactly. You're right. You're perfect on point. Um, just like credit cards as well. Credit card is also sort of deferred payment. So you buy the stuff today, you pay from your card, and then you pay back like the bank, or like you put the payment after you've purchased the item.
yeah. But how would we write that in a sentence?
Yeah, so you can write. So it's not like there is not sort of a point on definition for this, but you can write like if people lend money today,
People lend money.
today,
Sorry, miss, your voice is far away.
yeah, so today, right? If
Oh,
people
today.
lend money today,
Okay.
they will only be able to do so
They will only be able to do so. Yeah.
if they think that they'll be able to buy roughly the same amount of goods when it is paid back.
When it is paid back.
Yeah.
But miss, is that like what can happen?
Yeah. So
Mm.
whenever you are like, even if you go, you've talked about how you go to a store, you take the phone and you pay them after a bit,
Oh,
right?
yeah, yeah. That makes sense now. Yeah.
Yeah, so imagine that you say that I'll pay you in 2 years or I'll pay you in 1 year. So they'll say that if you pay me in 1 year, I wouldn't take, imagine that the phone was 2000 dirhams.
So
So
they
they'll
would
say
take
that,
double.
Yeah, yeah, go on.
So they would take double the price.
Exactly. So that is something that this statement says.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so we can like briefly talk about the last sort of function of money as well, so that if it comes up in your exam, you actually know what it means.
Is it
Do you
only
want to do
for?
that?
Yeah.
All right, so the last one is called a store of value.
Mm.
This means that if you plan on buying a good car in like 10 years from now, so you can keep storing your money. So, and at like after 10 years, your money would still hold its value and you can buy the car.
But what if after a couple of years the price goes up? It doesn't always, the value doesn't always stay the same.
Yeah, but this is sort of so imagine that you kept holding or saving your money. By this saving, they are referring to the fact that in economics, whenever we are using the word saving, we mean to say that you're investing your money somewhere. Is this making sense? So
Yeah.
imagine that you
But
earn
you put your
1,000.
money somewhere.
Yeah. So you maybe want to save 250. Rather than putting in your house, you would maybe go to a bank, you'll open up a savings account, you'll put your money there, or you'll go to stock exchange and you'll buy some stocks, right?
Yeah.
So those stocks and the bank is going to pay you an interest rate on the money that you have kept. So the money actually keeps its value. So if you have saved 250 in a bank, if you see your amount after 1 year, this 250 is going to be 400.
Yes, that makes sense.
And so that is why it is called a store of value.
Okay, so like, um, this means that like the more you store your money, the more value it's gonna have, or like something like that.
Yeah, so not more value it is going to have, but it is going to like hold its value. So it is not going to lose its value.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Okay, so I'm gonna write, uh, this means that the longer you save your money, the the more the more it holds on to its value, or the longer it holds on to its value.
Yeah. But then, as you said, that there could be inflation or there could be anything that sort of breaks this link, that the money does not hold its value. So that is something very debatable, and that is why this isn't like now it is not considered as much important a function of money as the other three.
So, Miss, like for example, when I mentioned this point, for example, like in the exam, can I still say that like um it will hold on its value, but however, there could be inflation that could break its link?
Exactly, yes.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense now.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we are going to end it here today. We will continue with money in the next class. It's just one tiny bit that is left. And then we will move on to financial markets where we'll study about banks and how they are like operating in within an economy. And then this particular chapter is going to end. Like this entire chapter is called Specialization and Division of Labor. This is going to end and we're gonna go ahead. All right, is this clear
Uh,
to you?
yes, Miss.
Anything from the session today that you don't understand, you can ask.
No, I understood everything, miss.
All right, great. So I'll see you tomorrow at 8:30, right?
Tomorrow is Wednesday.
Yeah.
Oh, are we doing it Wednesday or Thursday?
Yeah. No, so you told me to do it on Wednesday at
Wednesday?
8:30.
Yeah, that's fine, miss.
Yeah. So I'm gonna see you tomorrow at 8:30.
All right, thank you so much, miss.
Okay, no problem. Take care, Howrah.
Miss, just question.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, go on.
So all of the things we did today are under markets and markets failure. Even the economic efficiency I did with Sir last time is under markets and markets failure. But they're like
Yeah.
subtopics. So this is like money and exchange, and then the other one is like the categories the industries are put in, right?
Yes. So
Okay.
basically, it's like a hierarchy. So let me show you so that it's clear to you. So you have a broader theme that is market. Wait, let me use this. Yes, that is markets and market failure. Then you have sub branches. Right. So that is like the one we did today was specialization and division of labor. The entire thing we did today was part of this. And this further has more branches, and money and exchange was one of its branch. Is this making sense?
Yeah, it's making sense.
So in the next class, we can discuss your course outline as well, so that you are clear on the point that what we are studying and like what is
Yeah.
required from you.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I'll do that. So we'll
Thank you.
spend some time on that.
All right, miss.
Okay.
Thank you,
Anything
miss.
else?
Sorry?
Anything else?
No, thank you, miss.
All right. So I'll see you tomorrow, inshallah.
All right, inshallah. See you, miss.
See
Bye.
you. Bye.